Less than an hour after the conclusion of the previous film, John Wick, portrayed by Keanu Reeves, finds himself a hunted man in Manhattan. Following the unsanctioned assassination of the crime lord Santino D'Antonio in the New York City Continental, John is declared excommunicado by the High Table and slapped with a $14 million bounty. With assassins hot on his trail, John seeks refuge in the New York Public Library, where he retrieves a crucifix necklace and a marker medallion from a hidden cache in a book. He battles his way through a swarm of assassins scattered across New York City, eventually making his way to the director, a figure from his past who operates a theater. She accepts the crucifix as his ticket to safe passage to Casablanca, Morocco, branding him to signify he's exhausted all his favors. Simultaneously, an adjudicator, played by Asia Kate Dillon, representing the High Table, meets with Winston, the manager of the New York City Continental, and the Bowery King, leader of a network of vagrant assassins. The adjudicator reprimands both for aiding John Wick in killing Santino D'Antonio, giving them a 7-day ultimatum to surrender their positions or face dire consequences. In Casablanca, John encounters Sophia, portrayed by Halle Berry, an old friend and manager of the Casablanca Continental. He presents his marker and requests Sophia to honor it by guiding him to the Elder, a high-ranking High Table member, to plead for a pardon on his bounty. Sophia leads him to an assassin named Barada, who instructs John to venture into the desert until he can walk no more to find the Elder. In exchange for this information, Barada demands one of Sophia's dogs, leading to a violent altercation in which Sophia shoots Barada. Together, they escape the Casbah and flee into the desert. After fulfilling her marker, Sophia leaves John stranded in the desert. He wanders until he collapses from exhaustion but is eventually discovered by the Elder's men. John explains his actions, expressing his desperate desire to earn the memory of the love he shared with his wife. The Elder agrees to forgive John but imposes a condition: he must assassinate Winston and continue serving the High Table until his death. To demonstrate his commitment, John severs his ring finger and surrenders his wedding ring to the Elder. Meanwhile, the adjudicator recruits an assassin named Zero, portrayed by Mark Dacascos, and his students to enforce the High Table's will. With Zero's assistance, the adjudicator confronts the director and the Bowery King, inflicting severe harm on both, particularly the Bowery King. John returns to New York City, pursued by Zero's henchmen. Their chase ends at the New York City Continental, where they face the threat of being declared excommunicado. Zero reveals himself as an admirer of John's skills, but John remains undeterred by his overtures. He meets with Winston, who encourages John not to meet his end as a killer but as a man who experienced love with his wife. The adjudicator arrives, but Winston refuses to surrender his position, and John declines to eliminate Winston. Consequently, the adjudicator strips the New York City Continental of its sanctified neutral ground status. The adjudicator then alerts Zero and his forces, dispatching 2 busloads of heavily armored High Table enforcers for support. With the assistance of the hotel's concierge, Sharon, played by Lance Reddick, John defends the Continental against the enforcers. Initially, the armored assailants eliminate most of the Continental's guards, but John and Sharon manage to turn the tide, using armor-piercing shotgun shells to eliminate the enforcers. John then confronts Zero and his students, defeating most of the students and gravely wounding Zero. The adjudicator arranges a meeting with Winston, who presents the uprising as a display of strength and offers reparations to the High Table. John arrives, and when the adjudicator identifies him as a threat to the negotiations, Winston repeatedly shoots John, causing him to plummet from the Continental's rooftop. The New York City Continental resumes its operations and regains its sanctified status, but the adjudicator informs Winston that John's body has vanished and that he remains a threat to them both. Meanwhile, an injured John Wick is delivered to the Bowery King, bearing extensive scars. The Bowery King expresses his rage toward the High Table and vows to stand against them. He questions John if he shares the same fury, to which John responds with a resolute yeah.